The authority is just 6 months old, but already you've got a shortfall of 30 million. That's not a very good start, is it?
It's not a good start, but most of it is out with our control. The government has imposed very severe efficiency savings on all local authorities. Northumberland always comes at the bottom of that pile. We have never enjoyed a good settlement, so it follows that we have to find greater savings than other people. We also have the problem of inflation and the problem of the financial crisis, so we can't expect to get the capital receipts that we might otherwise have expected, or indeed return on some of our investment income.
But people assumed that becoming a unitary authority would result in savings.
Savings have indeed made. We had to make £26 million of savings for this current year, and we've achieved that without making anybody compulsory redundant, and we've managed to maintain very high quality services throughout Northumberland.
How much of an impact then was your savings in Iceland? That, of course, resulted in many people having serious problems, and presumably you too.
We have one. We had £23 million invested in Iceland. We've got 1.9 million of that back already. The biggest impact at the moment is the loss of interest. We expect to get all, or virtually all, the money back from Iceland in due course. The government has allowed us to spread the impact over a number of years in any case, but the immediate effect is the loss of interest.
Let's look at ways then of clawing back this shortfall. Essentially, you could, I suppose, increase the council tax.
Increasing the council tax is one option, but people are suffering right across Northumberland with the recession. They don't want to see large council tax bills. The government anyway will cap council tax probably at under 5%. At the moment our proposals include an increase of around 2%. 1% on the council tax brings in £1.4 million.
What about then cutting services?
We are trying to minimise the impact on services. We're looking at cutting non-staffing costs. We're looking at with the advantage of having had 6 months in the new authority, are there more efficient ways of doing things? We're deliberately had a very strong vacancy control mechanism from the 1st of April. I think almost certainly most of those vacancies that remain will be taken out of the system, which will offer us a saving. We've also invited people to put forward if they want voluntary redundancy. Those are savings that have an impact, but what we then do is restructure the organisation to accommodate those losses. We might have to make some people compulsory redundant. I hope that that is a very small number. We'll also have some impact on services, but all our proposals are aimed at minimising the impact on services.
Can you put a ballpark figure on the number of redundancies that you might have to make?
I can't. I've heard figures talked of between 400 and 600. If we take the vacancies and the volunteers, that number comes down to somewhere between 200 and 300. It could be less. I hope it's less.
What about the impact on schools? Because you're very much a rural area and children often dependent on transport to and from schools and so forth. Right. Is there going to be any effect here?
The schools budget itself is protected in that the government gives us a dedicated schools grant which we have to pass on to the schools. However, we don't yet know what the final figure is going to be for the dedicated schools grant. The anticipation is that it will be slightly less than originally considered, and that of course will mean the schools will have to look at their budgets closely as well.
And will this impact on your contingencies for emergencies, like the mob with floods?
The contingencies, the emergency contingencies budget is provided for in the overall budget proposals. We're talking about 30 million saving. We will still have a budget of somewhere around 460 million. The council actually spends over 700 million pounds a year. So yes, all those provisions will continue to be made.
How long do you think it's going to take the council to get out of this mess?
I don't call it a mess. It would depend on how the government funds the public sector, but it was always going to be a 3-year to 4-year programme of transforming from the old 2-tier system to the new council. We've put very much pressure on the senior management team to come up with new ways of working. working very much with local communities, the voluntary communities organisations and the private sector to try and deliver what people want in a new way. I think it will take 4 years.
And after that, do you think that you won't have to make any more cuts?
We should be in a situation where, as a council, we are the most efficient that we can be. What we can't determine is what local government will be expected. Listening to David Cameron, if he forms the next council, the next government, he says he'll want more for less. I don't know what that means. I have to wait and see.
So what's your message then to the council taxpayers in Northumberland who are really worried that things could get worse as far as council services are concerned?
I'm a resident of Northumberland, a council taxpayer in Northumberland myself. I want the best services that we possibly can deliver. Yes, there will be changes. We will have to find new ways of doing things, but we will continue to deliver the essential services that people want in a way that people want them delivered.
But at this moment, nothing is set in stone, is it?
Absolutely. We've issued a draft report that doesn't in fact offer the full savings that we may have to make. We very much need to go out to the public and hear what the public think about where we're at, what we're dealing with. We also need to hear what the other political groups' ideas are, because we are a minority administration. We have to get the support of at least one of the other political groups in order to deliver a legal budget. This is a time for consultation, listening, talking to people, identifying what the priorities are and trying to deliver that by the end of January, when we have to set our final proposals for council to consider in early February.
But how much notice will you take of the public's views, or is this just a public relations exercise?
I'm on record that I listen to people, as do my colleagues. It's pointless going out to say you're going to consult and not listen. What I can't guarantee is that we can do everything that people say we should. We will listen to them. What we'll also do is tell people why we can't do certain things.